Whoa. But first, this is go on your crossbow.
No!
Oh my goodness, I am so in love with the art in this movie. The shadows are used so beautifully and so uniquely. It's like another way rather to showcase personality and showcase intensity. It is so nice. Wolfwalkers is unabashedly gorgeous. Its beautiful, appeasing art style is one of the best in the game, hands down. Like, it has such a definitive collection of artworks. It's amazing, and it keeps improving itself every single time you go through the movie. Visuals are akin to a sketchbook or a coloring book. It's so beautiful and masterful. There's a lot of like what you would consider errors right now, but like it's such a beautiful style, and it's so confident in what it's doing. There's not mistakes. Like, sure, there is visually quote unquote mistakes, but it's part of the style. It's so nice. Wolfwalkers uses a lot of squares and a lot of sharp edges and like sketchy, very rough sketches of lines. It's so immaculate the way they use it, and it's sort of like a lot of the background is like almost like a laid back sort of lazy sort of like animation style, like drawing style I should say, because like not like lazy as in they aren't good, lazy as in like it's like it has a lot of charm to it. It has a lot of like naturalness to it. I remember specifically there is a scene to where a hawk gets shot in the air, and then there's like blood splatters in the sky, and the blood splatters stay in the sky while the hawk falls down. It is so good. I love the way they are using this whole scope. Colors are nothing to scoff at as well. They are extremely beautiful, bright, and vivid, and with some cool flavors in there as well. It's like, it's so nice to see these backgrounds and see how the characters like stand out in these backgrounds, because like all of this is 2D and there's a lot of flat surfaces which you feel like wouldn't work, but like it just does. It adds so much character to this animation. The score is absolutely exquisite as well. You are going to be hearing a lot of strings in this movie alongside a flute, a beautiful flute, and there is some drums in this movie, but it's more laid back. It's not like a pop song sort of drums, but it's just more like very like primal, I should say. On the music side of things, I believe there is one song in particular that is very standout, and it's absolutely beautiful the way they work it with the animation. It is called Running with Wolves, I believe, by Aura. I could be wrong on that. I will definitely pop it up here. It is such a lullaby of a song. It's like so relaxing and so like, it almost feels like you're disassociating in a way, the way you're looking at the animation and just listening to this beautiful song. Like it almost feels like an anthem for these wolves. It's like amazing. The vocals of this track are so airy and so mystifying. Like disassociation is definitely a thing I sort of like feel with this song. Even though I'm engaged, it feels like I'm just floating in the air and I'm just absolutely bathing in this beauty. The whole sort of refrain of running with wolves tonight, like it's so big. It feels so anthemic. I love it. God, sorry, I just had to gush over the music in this movie. It's so good. It's just so good. Now to talk a little bit about this story. The story is basically about a girl and her father, and they are outcast and they are trying to fit in this sort of like society that they are currently in, and the society is pushing against them every step of the way. This king, this sort of dictator, is very much being an asshole, trying to like force them to do things they don't want to do. And so there's a sort of outside force being the wolves, and they need to try and kill the wolves in order to like bring order to the land. That's what the dictator wants. This is a family fantasy and is definitely a slow burner. It's gonna take a minute for you to get to the very juicy parts of the movie, but I promise you, the journey is so worth it. The first 2 acts of this movie is basically just building the characters, introducing you to them, being able to like have you relate to them, have you see their personality, just involving you in this world and in their situation, their sort of like relationships with each other. It is so slow, but it is so worthwhile at the very end to where things really start happening. And there is such a shocking moment, like I really got astonished like as soon as this one thing happened. There's actually a very good moral dilemma between the father and the girl. Like the girl wants to sort of save these wolves as she's like lived with them, and there is like, it's not too much of a spoiler, she actually like becomes one of them, and the father like doesn't see, the father's just trying to do the best for like her, basically just following the dictator's rules, because like at the end of the day, like sure you can try and go against like everything like this dictator says, whatever like that, but like at the end of the day, it's them against you. You are very different, you are very unique to the society, and so they're gonna single you out. And so if you're not doing what this dictator says, you're just gonna get punished. And he does get punished multiple times, so he gets like sort of like not necessarily angry at his daughter, but he's more so being like super protective. It is such an interesting dynamic because it feels super grounded in reality. Even though this is a fantasy, it feels super grounded in reality. Like I personally probably would do what the father is doing right now in order to protect my child if I was in this situation. Like there is no wrong party here.
We must do what we're told.
Why, Father? Why?
I'm afraid. I'm afraid.
This is such a real and humanizing moment for the father. It is gorgeous how they pulled this off. I gotta say, there are some very strong emotional moments in this movie that very much stuck with me, and for that I have to definitely give this movie a 10. I actually see almost no problems with this movie. Like, sure, is it a little basic at times with the kid? I mean, sure, but like it's a kid, so therefore their sort of playful dynamic or like whatever they're doing, their dialogue is going to be a little bit more basic, but I'm loving it. I see nothing wrong with that. I love the way these characters are built up so that they actually become threatening in the 3rd act. It is so amazing. Like there's just nothing wrong with this movie. You can't convince me there's nothing wrong with this movie. But that's all I gotta say. Anyway, how's it going, pups? It's a Canine, and I'm